Yeah, what's good, Joe? It's your man, the Bigga P, and here to share my thoughts on the card from last night, the Triple G Canelo 2 rematch card. Um, First of all, I mean, for this card, as I did for the first card, I went to the movie theater. I don't know what it is though, but I've taken a shine to actually watching pay-per-view cards at the theater. It's actually pretty nice. This is the third one I've done. I did it for Canelo versus Chavez Jr., which was probably it was a good decision because if I had paid full price for that pay per view, I would have been pissed. Whereas I paid $19, and then $19 isn't anything. I have $19 in my car right now and change, so it wasn't anything. It wasn't anything bad. And then, like I said, I saw the first Canelo Triple G card in there, and then it was not, and it was good. It was a good experience. It was a really nice experience. The fight aside, the main event, I wasn't really happy with the result, but it is what it is. Uh, the second card on paper, at least for the undercard, it looked like it would be somewhat competitive. I mean, there were good fights on paper. They weren't like the first card, like the first Triple G Canelo undercard wasn't really that great on paper, but the undercard started to be decent. This one was one. This time on paper they were pretty good, but live they were just flat out mismatches. That's all you can actually say. And I think Golden Boy kind of fucked up a little bit on the flow of the pay per view. Personally, I would have started this shit like at 9 o'clock, maybe. I would have instead of 8. I mean, but I guess Oscar and company thought, hey, some of these people might extend these guys to full distance, um, and you get what you got. I mean, the first fight was Chocolatito coming back after getting killed by someone I call King Soras, Swiss Acad Sora Rungvisai, after those two back-to-back losses against Moises Fuentes, who's a former WBO minimum weight champion. It's a trip though. You say minimum weight champion, like, because you know there's only really one channel that actually airs them in the U.S. and that's usually I find them on a Spanish-speaking channel. But Chocolatito he looked a little rusty in the beginning. He didn't look like he had the same fight that he usually did. And Fuentes, I thought was actually going to cause him a little issue. And for a brief moment, just for a brief moment, I thought Fuentes might actually do something, he might actually wear him down. But Chocolatito found a groove, and then if it was in the fifth round, he knocked him cold with a beautiful right hand. Um, so I mean, it was a good, I guess, a good confidence builder for Chocolatito. I didn't, like I said, I didn't see any of the fight I had before, and like I said, it just might be rust, and like I said, Chocolatito probably still has a place in the sport, but what the lower divisions are, you get old before you're actually old. So I would try to extend. I'd say some of his brain trust would try to bring him along a little slowly. Give him maybe two more soft touches. Keep him active, but keep him active. But at least give him. Well, there's probably no more time unless he actually finds fights next month, and then fights lower competition, which is actually not bad. I mean, definitely fight again before this year's out. Don't extend. Don't wait any longer. So maybe he can get back in the swing of things at 115. Now, because 115 right now is a solid, very very solid division, ruled by of course Sor Rungvisai. So who knows? I mean, who knows how much of his momentum will actually get back going forward. Because I mean, as everyone's pretty much that going to 115 for Chocolatito, I mean that's pretty much his ceiling, man. Like, you know, and then at 115, he's had some hellacious fights there. I mean, the Quadras fight was more than damaging. I mean, you see both of them. I mean, both of Quadras is like, you know, is probably on his way down. Chocolatito went down, so I guess we'll see how things progress for him at 115. If it's actually his decision, if it's actually his actual division, or maybe a late career decision to actually go back to like 112. But we'll wait to see. But 115 is a hot division. more than flyweight just by a little bit, but we'll see. Second fight would be is Spike Sullivan versus O'Sullivan, excuse me, versus David Lemieux. Um, the build up for this fight was actually entertaining. You know, the Spike was talking all types of shit to Lemieux. Lemieux was just not, was not feeling it. He's not a guy you really want to talk shit to, and above all, he's not a guy that you actually want to trade punches with. Lemieux has a lot of issues. Like, let me highlight one of them right now: his conditioning issues. Uh, First of all, I don't think Lemieux is a middleweight. Yes, he can make the weight. He did in there, and he has also has times where he doesn't make weight. But for his actual big fights, he's made the weight. The guy held the IBF middleweight title, and was able to. I think it was part of the thing that his IBF middleweight title fights, the Endam and then Triple J, part of the last fights, he actually came in something of a normal condition, like he didn't blow up and weigh because IBF requires two weigh-ins instead of one, so he didn't rehydrate so crazy. Um, but I don't. But I don't know what he does in this camp, but I mean, the guy came into the ring functionally as a cruiserweight. You gained 19 fucking pounds, man. Like, that's ridiculous. And I said it before too. Lemieux's probably not. He's not a middleweight. He should actually move up to 168. He probably won't have to kill his body the way he's probably been doing. Because he walks around, you can see his face is all drained and everything like that. But that you see how he's built. He's built like he gained a lot of fucking weight. With that being said, Spike sees that and is like, God, maybe I can extend the man's line of fire and trade with him. You don't trade with Lemieux. Lemieux is the type of guy you have to put some rounds in, at least to wear him down a little bit. He's chinny, but he's not that chinny. Especially in Spike only gained what? He's like 164 max, somewhere around 161, 164. So he was already, in a disadvantage. You see all this and you're like, hey, let me actually go and trade with the guy. I don't know what type of plan that was, or what. I mean, there's a lot of things about Lemieux's boxing itself that is open to criticism. But you don't see a fight like Saunders, who pretty much washed them just off movement and boxing, and you think, okay, yeah, let me. Saunders is not stupid. Saunders, yes, he styled him a little bit, but Saunders did not go in and trade. And say, hey, let me go trade with David Lemieux and see what I can do. No, you don't trade with David Lemieux. You don't. He hits too damn hard. Triple G didn't even trade with Lemieux. I mean, Triple G literally had to work off his jab to wear him down, and the punches did his work. And then, Rubio pretty much had to absorb some punishment, until Lemieux got tired. But you don't go in there and trade with David Lemieux, and that's what Spike did. And I was just like, it's only a matter of time. It's like this month. I don't know. I was like, Spike. Spike. From what I understand, he did get stopped by Eubank Jr., but he got stopped if he didn't go down, and then he had gotten washed by Saunders. But then Saunders is a guy who can wash B level middleweights. That's not. He's done it before. He's done it multiple times. Uh, but it's just like. But then with someone like you think you'd have kid gloves. Like if Spike had actually boxed the man for at least 4 or 5 rounds, he probably Lemieux probably would have tired, and then he could have probably took some risk. But he decided to stand in the man's life fight, and then Lemieux was pissed already. So he was no. Lemieux was landing some shots that was having me cringe. I was like, it's only a matter of time. Like Spike felt the body shot. Spike felt everything before the final left. Before the left hook that actually had him on the canvas before the first round was over. So I was disappointed in that aspect. I was like, Spike is. I'm thinking to myself, Spike. Lemieux is not Antoine Douglas. You cannot wade in on this man with this power, man, unless your chin is of a godly tier, and that's what that's Triple G's chin. And Triple G was not a fool to actually do that. He boxed the man before he stopped him, And I don't know. I mean, Spike, wanted them. I guess he wanted maybe he wanted to make a good impression, but instead, think that it's been said he got annihilated in 1 round. So Spike, guess hopefully he learned a lesson. Can't wait in on everyone, especially someone with Lemieux's type of power. For Lemieux, this fight was designated, I think, as a WBA mandatory. So now Lemieux is a mandatory for Canelo, which I'll talk about that whole situation later. Um, but the Lemieux fight is a perfect example of something a control that needs to be done. It can't just be the IBF that just does this. I think all the WBO, WBA, WBC they need to do either need to do same day weigh in or a double weigh in because it's absolutely fucking ridiculous that Lemieux came into that ring, 179. It's not a middleweight. You keep doing this, and like I said, Lemieux is not like he's a spring chicken. Like I think he turns like 30 this year, or he is 30. He's not. I mean, he is in his prime per se, but I can't imagine. And like I said, he's had instances where he hasn't made weight. I just can't see this happening. He continue him to boil down to 160, the way he's been doing any longer. So remains to be seen. And then the third and the cover and the co-main event would be Jaime Munguia versus Brandon Cook. Brandon Cook, I've only seen fight once, and I wasn't really impressed. Munguia, of course, is just the new 154 flavor of the month. The guy comes out of nowhere, brutally knocks out Saddam Ali, and then had that underrated war with Liam Smith on his last time out on HBO. So I didn't think Munguia had anything to really worry about. I mean, they said Cook had some power, but again, power is subjective in the division that you're fighting in, and Munguia himself is another example of this, of someone who fights at a weight I guess he can easily make, but then rehydrates up to he was functioning at cruiserweight too. I think was he like 175 and a half or some 175, 176. Borderline, it was ridiculous. A light middleweight can goes what middleweight, super middleweight, light heavyweight comes in functionally as a cruiserweight, and he holds a 154 fucking belt. That's insane to me. This is. I mean, and he's young, dude. So, when you're young, you can have these crazy ass weight losses like that. But it's insane to me right now. I mean, like how the fuck he's not gonna lose his belt in the ring with this type of weight advantage. You can't. I bet you'll give him a hard night, but you can't. But let me get off that subject. Brandon Cook. I mean, didn't have anything to him. Like, I mean, he hit him a couple times. He hit him a couple times. Was able to get him into the ropes a couple of times. But once Munguia started laying off them fucking sledgehammer combinations, it was all she wrote. I mean, it took him when we took him no more than 3 rounds. It was pretty much like Miguel was just too big, too strong, too good for Brandon Cook to do anything. Um, it was a straight wash, and I said it was an undercard full of fades. Unfortunately, they were not competitive on paper in live as they were on paper. So, in doing so, the undercards kind of mess up the flow of the pay per view. I mean, especially the last fight, there was an hour and 20 minutes to kill. So I spent that time. I went to the bar, got myself chili cheese hot dog. I think I had a couple beers or whatever. I walked around a little bit because I can't sit in a chair waiting for watching Larry. Jim Lampley and Roy talk. Fill all that dead air. I mean, it's like if you do this, you should have just added at least a 4 fight on the card for a pay per view, or start it at 9, so you don't get this type of dead air. So yeah, after the floor of the pay per view was all messed up, I'm like, gotta get better with that. I mean, although with the rumors with HBO getting out of boxing, probably by 2019, who even knows how that's actually going to go. So, after that long wait, we finally get to the long waited rematch between Canelo and Triple G. And point blank, it was an absolutely brutal fight. I mean, it was brutal. It was bloody. Uh, Canelo criticized before by fighting on his back foot the way he did and gave away rounds in the fight, which most people saw Triple G winning the first fight. Move forward, move forward on him, and he let his hands go. And these rounds were so razor tight. I mean, I think there was probably maybe at the most there was a shitload of swing rounds. I think probably the most definitive round in the whole fight. I think it was either 9 or 10 where Triple G was literally, I think it was like 9 or 10 where Triple G just absolutely was giving gave Canelo a good pounding in that round, controlling with the jab and giving him a pounding. But this fight was really like it's basically it's how it's just either you see Triple G. I mean, Triple G made Canelo miss. Canelo is not a guy. I mean, Canelo has fast hands, and Triple G's defense, which is I think is probably the more underrated part of his game, was a full display. I mean the movement, ducking under, like Triple G really. I mean, half the fight made Canelo look silly, and he also made him miss a lot. Canelo, and also on the other hand, Canelo, however, was supposed to move forward and absolutely ripped Triple G to the body, to the head. Um, it was actually amazing. Like a lesser middleweight would have probably went down from that, from that type of fight. But Triple G remained upright and did not stagger. It was unbelievable to watch. But I also figured that Triple G. I also saw that Triple G started a little bit. Like I said, he had the jab pumping, like he was snapping Canelo's head back. But I think Canelo now moving forward on him, and this was the thing he was criticized about. I think Canelo got the benefit of the doubt in some of the earlier rounds because of that. However, in the later rounds, I thought Triple G took control of the fight, and the 12th round I think was a little bit of a toss up. It was depending on what you saw. I mean, the 12th round I guess was the round that got Canelo the fight. It was extremely close. It was extremely tight, and it was extremely brutal. I can't even. I need to reiterate that it was an extremely brutal fight. Canelo and Triple G both took hellacious punishment, and it's definitely a fight of the year candidate. Now, in terms of stature, I mean, do I think it surpassed Laura versus her, which I think is the best fight that aired on that aired this year, possibly. The stakes were very very high in that fight. Um, at the end of the fight, I had scored the fight 115-113 to Triple G. This fight was legitimately close. It wasn't like the first fight. The first fight, Canelo gave away too many rounds, and I had that fight 116-112 to Triple G. Um, this fight, it was a toss up. I thought Triple G won, but they gave the decision. It was a majority decision. It was razor tight to Canelo. I don't have, yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem with it. I mean, it'd be hypocritical for me to say, "Oh, Canelo moved forward, but got gift." I thought Triple G won, but Canelo got the decision. That's what I'll say on that. Canelo got the decision, but I thought Triple G won. There's no robbery, and pretty much almost immediately, like I think for like most of that, all those ratings, like I mean, and it's very split down the middle now. It's like because what is I mean, everyone's like, oh yeah, Canelo got protected again, but that's a whole nother conversation with Canelo's close victories, including his loss to Floyd Mayweather. It's this. I mean, it was really split. Some people saw Triple G win, some people saw Canelo win, some people saw a draw. It's all over the place, and most likely it's a debate that's not going to die anytime soon. But hats off to Canelo. I mean, Canelo raised his game to something I'd never seen before from him, and he got himself a victory. And now he's the lineal champion. He's the WBC, WBA champion, and Ring Magazine champion. I don't do the IBO thing. No, no, not at all. But yeah, Canelo is the lineal ruler. Unfortunately, though, I mean the IBF title is missing from the equation. Due to the IBF being a little bit impatient, and then the WBO belt is, of course, is on the waist of another fighter. So it takes us down. It's like, where did the both men go from here? Canelo has two mandatories on him. He inherited mandatories. He has a WBA mandatory with Lemieux, and he has a WBC mandatory with Charlo, with Jamal Charlo. Um, my guess is that Oscar is going to steer Canelo in the direction of Lemieux, um, for various reasons. I mean, if you follow boxing, you probably understand why I said that. Because Charlo is just as prime as anything, and is also probably skilled, maybe even a little bit more skilled than Canelo. I don't see Oscar trying to make a fight with Charlo anytime soon. And then with Lemieux has enough faults to probably make that fight. Okay, we could try to make that fight happen. Else the belts are going to become splintered again, and then you have Lemieux going after facing whoever's going to be number two in the division for it. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of mandatories going on to see what's gonna happen. Um, and then I know people are like, hey, let's have a third fight with Triple G. I wouldn't mind seeing it. I would not mind seeing it. Not at all. Canelo's like, oh, we'll have it in December. Don't think that'll be a good idea. I mean, you just took a. I mean, he did take a good beating from Triple G. I don't think it's a good idea for him to go back in the ring 3 months later. And I'm pretty sure the sanctions will actually give him some reprieve on that aspect. I mean, probably give him, probably maybe. Oh well, it's September now. I mean, 30. I mean, depending on it. I mean, I think it was a bruising fight. A fight that probably should wait a little bit to get back in the ring. But if they do a third fight with Triple G, that's the thing. Triple G turns 37 in February. Um, the Triple G that I saw tonight is an aging old fighter. Um, yes, I thought he won both fights with Canelo, but mileage accumulated on him, and it showed last night. Like it was, I mean, it showed more than anything. Like he got old in that fight. He was, I mean, he had been aging per se. He had been showing signs of age since part of the Kell Brook fight. It's a slow, and this is and the Canelo fights have really put some mileage on him. So with him, I wouldn't. I mean, if I was Triple G, I'd take a little break. I mean, I'd take a little break because it was a hellacious fight. He took God amount of punishment and did not go down or even stagger. It's actually incredible. Um, my respect for Triple G has gone up. And it's unfortunate now that his quest was to unify all the belts and become the lineal ruler of the division. And it's going to be the loss per se is going to take is unfortunately is probably going to hit his legacy a little bit. Even though he was very dominant and he was a long reigning champion. He was very dominant, but I think I mean, it was a razor thin loss to Canelo, but I think that's gonna more than anything, it's going to this will be the thing with his will affect his legacy a little bit. I mean, barring of course, unless he does something going forward to actually change that. But but the man's gonna be 37, so who knows how long he has in the sport. I mean, for all I know, he might do the third fight just to catch up because now there's money in that fight. There's big money in that fight, and but honestly, if he had to go, I'd have to actually see him in with somebody else, like a soft touch or something like that, or somebody just to really gauge where he is right now. I mean, he still hits hard. He's still a hard punching middleweight, hard puncher, one of the hardest punchers in boxing. But yeah, age is catching up with Triple G, big time. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the card. It was a good night overall, and yep, it's about to go find something to eat before this Eagles Bucks game. So as always, peace.